welcome to the Techne Connect podcast Behind the Power. Today we're joined by Neeta Khare, Director of Product Engineering, Battery and Fuel Cell at Iveco Group. Neeta shares her journey from academia to industry, pioneering AI-powered battery diagnostics and leading innovation across global energy storage projects. We explore her work in solid-state batteries, safety, smart sensors and team building, plus the life lessons and mindset that drive her passion for clean technology. It's a must listen for anyone shaping the future of electrification and sustainable energy. Hi Neeta, welcome to the Techne Connect Behind the Power podcast series. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah,
Tom.
likewise. Yeah, no, it's good to have you on board. I know we spoke a couple of weeks ago. How have you been since then? Have you been up to much?
Yeah, it's good. Yes, life is giving the new challenges, new technology, new solid state, BMW launching and testing. So it's exciting.
Nice. Yeah, no,
How
really
about
good to
you?
hear. Yeah, no, good. Work's really, really busy, but the good kind of busy, so I can't complain really. We're going through a bit of a growth phase here at Techne at the moment, so it's quite intense, but it's fun. And outside of work, I've got a 7-month-old daughter, so I've got an intense job and an intense lifestyle outside of work at the moment. But no, it's really fun. I'm enjoying every second of it, and the weather's been quite nice in the UK for once over the past couple of weeks. But I think it's took a bit of a change recently,
Yeah.
though. I think it's back to typical UK weather.
Mm. And I think we adopted your weather because here in Switzerland, it's not the sun shining, it's more gray and the clouds.
Okay.
So maybe you have sent that here.
Yeah, unfortunately, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah, good stuff. Well, it's great to have you on board. I suppose before we jump into things, Nita, just for the listeners out there who don't already know you, do you want to provide just a brief introduction of who you are and where you're up to at the moment?
Perfect, perfect. I'm Neeta Khare, and I'm Director Battery and Fuel Cell in Iveco Group, and I'm a battery expert in the sense battery product development and also renewable energy storage sector. I spent my 25 years in this area. So I grew up with the electrification, with the idea of changing the world for for mobility, and this is I am. If you want a little bit more, then let me know.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, we'll dive a bit deeper into kind of, your career story to date and education in a moment. But thank you for obviously the intro. Really appreciate it. I suppose before we go into kind of the professional side of Nita, let's look outside of it and go into the personal side. So, who are you outside of work? Have you got any specific hobbies, interests, or passions?
Yeah, that's a good thing. So basically, outside the profession or inside the profession, both, I considered myself as a lucky person and defined as a lucky, human being because I born to a good parents, very safe life. Good food availability, access to a good education, access to a pure water, and no war scenario. So I think I've considered myself pretty lucky to be born and having this kind of a life. Um, when I look back, half of the century almost in this world, I can see that, or also I got the feedback from different people that I can be defined as a 3D. Or three dimension of my characteristic, and this is stands out for determination, daring, and the dedication, because throughout my life, I was pretty dedicated what I take in my hands. I'm determined to achieve the goals, and also I'm pretty daring with the risk taking capabilities. So you can see my movement from throughout the world. Grew up in India, moving to US, and coming to Switzerland. So
Yeah, it's really
quite
cool.
a good risk taking capacity. Yeah,
100%. There's no risk without reward. That type of saying, isn't there? Really, at the end of the day. So
that's
yeah,
true.
makes
That's
sense.
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
You just have to have the understanding of the risk metrics, and if you work on a risk metrics properly, you know that what is your calculations and what is your capability. I think it fits well.
makes sense. Yeah, you always need to kind of have that a little bit of a safety blanket behind yourself, haven't you, in
Correct.
case that risk doesn't come to fruition. You need something to fall back on. You don't want to, put yourself in a very difficult position where there's kind of nothing to fall back on, and it's then
Yeah.
becomes too risky.
Correct, correct. I mean, in engineering environment, you always have a plan, B plan, C plan, at least. And some people goes up to the D plan as well. But but A plan, B plan, C plan gives you the idea about this that some different routes can support you.
Nice. No, I really like that, and I suppose yeah, it's quite an interesting, unique outlook on the personal side of yourself, which is really cool. Do you have any specific hobbies? Obviously, I know work will probably take up a lot of your life, but is there any kind of guilty pleasures or anything that you enjoy doing in your free time?
Yeah, I don't say it's a guilty pleasure. It's like a pleasure, really.
Yeah,
So I really like outdoor, and nature really drives me. So my outdoor hiking and bikings are my favorite choices of sports. And I also, really enjoys watching animated movies. Hiking, biking is one of the things that I enjoyed a lot, but also because Switzerland offers this very well with the facilities here and then safe environment. So I enjoyed that. Animation movies are my second love. So it pretty much is interesting for me to watch and take the messages from it.
nice. What's your favorite animated movie?
Yeah, that's a good question. So lots of them are my favorite, and every movie has some favorite moments and favorite things. Like Kung Fu Panda has that inner peace. Is
Yeah,
is one of the my favorite moments. But also, like recently, what I watched is Moana's 2, and one of the catchy word from there is there's always a second way.
nice.
So if you stuck in something, there is always a second way. So I think I pretty much repeat this many times to me to understand that there is always be the second way.
Nice. Oh, no, I really like that. I know when we last spoke previously, you explained kind of the reason behind it because I know we were discussing when you watch animated movies when you're a kid, you don't really truly understand the actual stories behind them. But
Correct.
obviously, as you get older and see what happens in life and actually understand it a little bit better, when you watch them now, you have a completely different outlook on it, really, which I think's quite cool
Yeah.
because I'll be honest with you, I never actually viewed animated movies on that kind of aspect until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
kind of taught me something. So next time I watch one, I will, be focusing more on kind of the actual story and ethos behind it rather than just, enjoying kind of the actual animation, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much liked from the very childhood, but also interesting part is in the Mickey Mouse animated movies. I grew up watching that, and then particularly the character Pluto. If you have seen the Pluto, whenever he got flat into the ground, he always popped it back.
Yeah.
And this gives me a very good positive ways that no matter if you are failing, there is a moment when you can come back up, and then you are um, uh, you know turning your failure into the success. So
100%.
yeah, this is the I can really relate it to Pluto's characteristics.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Thanks for sharing. I suppose moving on to kind of your career story to date now, let's obviously start off at grassroots where it all began. So your
Mhm.
education background, what does that look like for yourself? So what did you study and what were the reasons behind it?
Yeah. So I grew up in India, and in India, when I was growing up in later 90s, early 80s, and late 80s and 90s, it was pretty much engineering and doctors. There is only two profession that middle class can afford and can do. I was good in mathematics and physics, so my choice was limited to engineering, and I went it there. My parents were educated, and they always recommended us to make your career in education and make your uh, and acquire as much as education you can. So that's what pretty much stayed with us and with me and my siblings. And then we took that advantage of supporting parents with education.
Nice.
So I took that. I did my engineering. Then I did eventually a PhD in this area. That's accidental PhD, but the area was how to use battery state of algorithm, state of charge, and state of health using artificial intelligence.
Wow. Okay.
So
That's really
yeah,
cool. And what year
yeah.
was that, by the way?
It was 2000 to 2005,
Yeah,
and
it's
that was
crazy.
pretty interesting because both the word that is catchy today or relevant for this environment today are battery and artificial intelligence. Both were not that important that time, but again, as I said, I was lucky, I chose that, and then it came pretty handy for me throughout the life.
Yeah. No, 100%. As you said, if you look at back 2005 to now, I don't think you would have thought that that's where battery and AI would have kind of nicely blended together, or how much of a key core focus it will. And it's now fallen under that umbrella of battery intelligence, where batteries are becoming more and more smarter as time goes on. But you're talking 20 years ago, you were involved in that, so I think it's really interesting how you were kind of one of the pioneers, let's say from very early on, which is really cool.
Yeah, it feels like good today. The time it was a struggle, but because there was no literature, no guiding force was behind that, so I had to do it by myself. Everything, even AI tools were not available, so we had to write our own codes. For AI algorithms, like even simple back propagation algorithms, you have to write your own code. There is no large language models were available. So it was interesting, but in the process you learn a lot.
Of course.
You learn very many new things, and it's interesting for that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And the PhD, is that what led you into battery technology in industry? What was kind of like the next step?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's part of the interesting journey that I took. So after my PhD, I did this PhD sponsored by Exide Industry Limited, for the battery manufacturer in India and then world, for lead acid battery. They supported my PhD, but we also got the patent on my work. And this patent, when happened, I was also participating in lots of conferences. In one of the conference, U.S. Navy have seen my work, and they were working on one of the projects, unmanned surface vehicle supported by renewable energy sources. So they offered me a kind of a role. I was connected with Villanova University in Pennsylvania and working for the US Navy Yard. And this project was interesting. So, this is a next step, not exactly in industry yet, but part of the R&D development. I also worked in the same time. Another pioneer work is magnetic field probing for the battery aging. This led to me in industry. But also, I think we discussed it before as well, that my migration from academia or R&D to industry was a take, because I realized that the resources, funding, as well as the environment is pretty limited in R&D sector, and particularly in academia. So if I had to convert the concept into the product, the industry is the better place.
Yeah, makes sense. So to make a true impact in helping the world decarbonize and kind of relate to kind of your overall passions and interests, it just made sense for you to kind of go into industry because, like you said, it's very difficult to to make a huge difference in academia. Not saying that people don't, because there's lots of interesting startups and research that comes out of it, but to develop a product that can change people's lives or the world's, you need to go into industry, and I'm assuming that kind of sat at the heart of you for quite some time.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, there is a two-way. One is you stay in academics, you transfer your ideas to somebody who has the similar level of the passion to convert that idea into the product. That is a one way of looking at it. Second, you yourself can do this transition and then convert yourself the concept into the product. So I took the second way, transit myself into industry and converting the concept into the products. And
Yeah,
this I throughout did in my um, positions wherever I took the role.
makes sense. I suppose, why batteries? Because obviously you did a bachelor's and then you went into obviously doing your PhD. Did that kind of just fall into place, battery technology, or was it something that always you had an interest in?
Mhm. No, not from my engineering. During my studies, engineering, I didn't really understood the battery very well, or never had the attraction towards the battery. I was also not very good in chemistry, so electrochemistry and chemistry was not my area. But when I started learning, there's a one project came from when I was working in university in India. A project came, and then it gave me a motivation to look it inside of the battery. I was pretty much kind of with the mentality that there is only two electrodes and electrolyte. That's nothing much in battery, but it made me wrong when I explored it. And I realized that battery is kind of a puzzle, and it's like a universe. When the universe, we know some part of the universe, but major part is still unknown. And when it will unfold, like every day, telescopes are giving us the different images, and those is giving the new informations. Same about the battery is lots of things we know, but many things is still unknown. And this gives you the continuous challenge throughout the life, not only the electrochemistry area, but mining area, but the system area, the product development. Everything is a continuous challenge, and that gives quite a good interesting pathway to, you don't feel like you are stop thinking or stop learning, and it's a continuous journey. So it never gave me the space to go and divert myself. And that's how I see that way. It's like a movie that it's very catchy movie, and then you cannot think about anything else. So the same thing happens with me for the battery, because it has lots of things to offer and
Yeah,
lots of challenge. It's
I
still
like
like,
that.
yeah, so many things are there, but still we cannot predict the battery aging precisely,
Yeah,
even
makes
after
sense. Yeah.
so much of years of development. So that's
100%. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting outlook, because I think from the outside in, clean technology and battery technology, it seems like a really, really mature kind of space at the moment. But, speaking to lots of people like yourself, Nita, everyone believes that it's still kind of at the beginning phase, and there's still so much development to be done. There's lots of people looking into cell chemistries, and like you said, lots of people are looking into how we can make batteries smarter at the moment, improving lifetime, charging capabilities, performance, obviously safety aspects as well. So I think, for the listeners out there, it's a great opportunity to kind of get involved, because like you said, it's that continuous challenge, and everything's becoming electrified at the moment. So there's quite a lot of opportunities to kind of be involved in, shaping the future of the world, which I think's really, really cool. And I suppose, do you want to walk the listeners through kind of your career story to date so far? Because I think it's really impressive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, from my point of view, it's just kind of a staircase. It's not just when we talk about the staircase, everyone thinks about a progressive, lending into a different roles, which is more catchy titles, you're rising into the ladder. But staircase is not just that. Staircase is also to gain the knowledge. So I started pretty much developing the algorithms, then I expanded to the BMS software development, then I started with the how the BMS is interfacing with other controllers, then the next role gave me the idea about the BMS, but the cell chemistry. So how you link with the BMS and the cell chemistry, and how you put the BMS into the system. Then this is all what I learned from the R&D. But then I moved to another industry area, another area in industry, which is EOS Energy Storage. It's one of the company in New York based company. It's a listed company now. They are working on the zinc hybrid battery. And this is the cross-functional role, which gives me the connection from the R&D and the business. So this is another steps of the stair, which gives me the eye-opening experience, I would say, that how much the gap between the R&D accuracy and expectation of the business. It's a big gap. So there's a, how to open or how to fill the gap, or how to convince each other that why this gap is, and what is how to make it work together. This is the one of the things. After this position, this is a position as a senior scientist, but I was interfacing between the business development and then R&D role. After this position, I land up into Switzerland in one of the cell manufacturing company called Leclanche. Leclanche is also a kind of interesting journey for me, because before that I was not exposed to cell manufacturing, but here I learned the cell manufacturing basic technology, more deeper electrochemistry understanding, aging phenomenon, but also how the product can be converted from the concept to the production launching, and also complexity of the production line, completely for the BMS, but also battery pack, module, and cell. So this is another steps of in the stair, which I broaden the my knowledge. Then I briefly worked for another company which is working on the different technology, which is called GCT. Here I was SLT member, Chief Innovation Officer, and I was sitting into the board meetings. Also, I learned the relationship of the company versus the investors, company with the board of directors alignment, financial reporting, and also how the innovation and development goes along with this kind of strategy planning of the company. So this is another steps ahead into learning the business side of that. Then I land up into Iveco Group as a director of production engineering. Here, Iveco is a far more bigger company than my previous companies. So here I learned the vehicle side of aspect, the technical challenges of the vehicle. It's when you develop the product for the vehicle, you have to understand the limitations of the volumes, limitations of the chassis connections, and how the all stakeholders when work together can bring the best solutions for the road application or off-road application also. But this is important part. Plus the bigger companies has a little bit different way of working, where you have to work to more on alignment with the stakeholder. You are not an individual contributor anymore, but you have to have the more alignment. So in the small companies or startup companies, your personal contribution as a technical person or as a business person is different, is more weighted, whereas in bigger company you have softer skills which is more weighted. So how you are going along with your stakeholders, that is more important. So
Nice.
that's a very important learning, step by steps. And here I am, with all these kind of steps, sometimes up in a ladder, sometimes below a ladder, and then up. That's kind of things.
Makes sense. No, I really like it. Thank you for sharing. I think it's really, really impressive what you've been able to achieve so far to date. And I think the kind of the outlook on everything really is, every move that you have made has always been to kind of upskill yourself. You've not just been moving for a sideways step, let's say, or for any kind of crazy financial benefit. It's always been for kind of more of the actual, okay, how can I upskill myself? How can I expose myself to an area where maybe I'm not very strong in and it's a weakness at the moment, but then how can I turn that into a strength? So then, where you're up to in your career at the moment, you've nicely bridged that gap between, academia, R&D, industry, but then, being very technical in industry and learning how the product goes through its life cycle, then into more of the commercial outlook as well, and seeing, okay, how can we commercialize this? How can we bring revenue in? And looking at, actually, how can we grow this business successfully? So now you've got like the complete picture, and you've got exposure across every multiple area of a development life cycle of the product, from technical and commercial, which is quite rare to find. So I think it's it's really, really unique how you've pushed yourself on to kind of go that far into your journey. And you're definitely in the stage now where you're looking into kind of more of these executive roles moving forward because of the exposure that you've been able to have, which I think is really, really cool.
Thank you so much for briefing and putting it all in the context. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I think it's, for the listeners out there, it's just uh, a really good, I suppose, example, and you obviously a great role model to showcase how you can develop your career and how important it is to consistently upskill yourself and expose yourself to maybe areas that you don't feel comfortable in. Because I guarantee when you moved into some of these roles, it kind of that imposter syndrome a little bit. I'm not quite sure whether this is right for me, or I'm not the best person suited for it. But putting yourself in your out of your comfort zone adds a lot of benefits at the same time.
Correct. That's true.
Yeah, no, really interesting. I suppose looking back across your career now, what
Mhm.
stands out from an achievement side from your side, Neeta? So what achievements are you most proud of?
Yeah, I was thinking about it many times. First, achievement has a different definitions for everyone. Definitely, you achieve the for a monetarily point of view, some kind of a comfort level, but that's not real achievement for me. Also, like, I wrote a book, or I have patents, or I have articles in journals, or I launched the complete products from scratch to final launching. Many times this kind of things happened in the career, but real achievement is not something like this. Real achievement is which I feel that I can possess and I'm carrying with me, is my learning. So throughout my life career, or in this journey, I was a learner, and I'm learning, and I'm continuously learning not only from the books, or from the reading on, or watching a YouTube, but learning from the environment, learning from the colleagues, learning from my engineers, learning from my colleagues, stakeholders, learning from the suppliers, learning from this customer, learning from CTO, CEO, or learning from my technician. So it's a complete environment which can give you good lessons. Often I think, when I look back in my knowledge, I think my team have made me what I am today. They feed me in with all the informations that definitely I was curious about, but also they gave me enough informations which make me understand things properly, and that is what I'm proud of. So I think I am proud of my learning.
Yeah, no, I think it's really, really inspiring to, like you said, there's achievements is different to everybody at the end of the day, but I think at the heart of yourself, Nita, it's always, being able to upskill yourself, and every day is a learning day at the end of the day for yourself, and I think it's really, really important to emphasize that point really. And you've already mentioned some really interesting companies, from startups to big blue chip businesses that you've been involved with, but is there anything that you'd like to highlight to the listeners out there in regards to kind of, any specific challenging projects you've worked on throughout your career, or anything that you see as, being quite pioneering in the sector?
Mhm. Yeah, I think as I told for my PhD work, it was pretty pioneering that time that combining the battery with the AI. And that was a unique proposition that time. Then I worked on another technical aspect, is the unmanned surface vehicle for US Navy boat for multiple power renewable power sources. I mean, we use the wave harvesting, we use the solar panel, fuel cell, battery. That time it was interesting work. And then I think I also feel that pioneer work was in using magnetic field probing for the battery aging analysis. This is interesting work. Then I think apart from this, there's a many projects which during the my industry roles, we develop the products from very scratch to the launching, like Ellen, um, the battery storage, or e-ferry Ellen. This is quite a pioneering work. It's the first fully electric e-ferry. And same as completely development of the BMS from scratch to ISO 26262. It's not unique, but also uniqueness comes because of a small team, and you achieve these standards up to the level. So that's the uniqueness. But apart from this, I think there is also uniqueness is that every time when I took the positions, I've started the department completely in that company, whether it is Leclanche, whether it is EOS, or whether it is Iveco. I started the department in the sense from the scratch, and putting all the different skill set in the same environment and bringing the results out of that. So integrating the team and getting the right skill set, that is also a kind of a stepping stone for any organization. So this is, I
Nice.
think, also interesting work.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool because it's, it's not easy building up a department
So,
from scratch. It's really not easy developing a product from initial conception through to production. So, having that challenge whilst also kind of having the right chess pieces in the right place, it's very challenging. But like it's clear that you've had quite a lot of success with that throughout your career so far to date. But how did you find it? Growing a division and a department from scratch because skill sets are becoming more and more niche and talent is becoming a lot shorter as time goes on at the moment. So how did you find kind of that growth journey, especially when you've got a culture that you need to kind of keep as well at the same time, making sure everyone's bought into the vision and the roadmap? How's that been for you?
yeah, I mean, see, it's I would not say the word difficult. It is challenging, and it is also to bring everyone on the same level. But I actually quote here Steve Jobs' story. I was listening recently, and I saw that he put it very well together, and I actually believe in that. I practice that. He told that one day one of the old person came to him, and he asked him to put some rocks into the grinders, very rough rocks, with some slurry and some water in it, and then make the grinder work for some times. It is created of noisy and friction at that time, and it was very uncomfortable for some moment. But after a few hours, this old man opened the container and grinder and showed it to Steve Jobs. Let's look at these rocks now. The rocks becomes the well-shaped smooth stone. So the storyline here is that you bring the rocks. They have the original hidden talents inside of them. But when you put together them and they rubs each other, they have the friction and noise and uncomfortable moment for certain times. But at the end, they polish each other, and that they bring the best results out of that.
That's really cool. I like
And
that.
yeah, I like it because I
Yeah.
always practice this. I always tell my teams, like, have a fight, have an argument, but bring the best.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
And
good.
this is I practice, my best papers come out of this arguments. And I also practice this with my team. My team sometimes not very happy about that, but but I still would like to give them the environment where they can fight.
Of course, yeah. Well, that's really good. I've never heard that to be honest with yourself, but it's probably
Yeah.
something that will stick with me for a long time, which is really cool. So thank you for sharing. And I suppose also, if we look across your career now as well, is there any specific lessons or knowledge that's kind of stayed with you throughout your career so far to date?
Yeah, it's very good question actually, because it gives you a moment to think about throughout your life, and what are the lesson that you carry. One of the best lesson that I think is important for anybody's life, particularly in this environment where the stability is kind of not normal. The transition is more normal. The accept the change, be ready for change, and more you accept the graceful the change, better is your next move will be. So I think adaptability of change, finding out the new ways again, the animation movie things that find out the, the second way or another path. I think that's the key point in this life. I mean, I always says that we are not stable, no matter we are living in a same place, but earth is moving, so we are not stable. Correct. Also, every atom of our body is keep changing, so we are not having the same person as one moment before. So everything is changing. We are unknowingly accepting that. Why not knowingly accept that?
Yeah, no, I like that. I think it's really interesting. I suppose just in relation to that as well, I quite like this question as well, Nita. So, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, knowing the knowledge that you do have to date, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, two advices I think I would give myself. One is channelize your energy in right direction, and second, be patient. I'm not sometimes a very patientful person, but sometimes you need to be really patient to understand others' viewpoint, and also to wait for the story to unfold. Mm. There is also one a storyline that I know I heard somewhere, that you cannot run faster inside of the train faster than train.
Yeah, I
Right.
like that.
So
Yeah,
so you cannot push something beyond the limit. So I think be patient sometime. Channelizing your energy is something I think we all face every day. Um, Sometimes you, as a corporate, in corporate world or in personal level, we judge others behavior a lot, or we got affected by their behavior a lot. But I think best way is let it go, move on, and channelize your energy to focus on an objective. That is something i I wish that I would be knowing it as a younger person.
it's something that you learn as time goes on, like you've mentioned, and as you start maturing a little bit. But I do like the patience aspect as well, because I think it links into being over ambitious. I think being ambitious is a very good thing, but when you can kind of become over ambitious, that can then become a bit of a negative, because like you said, if you're trying to run faster than the train, you, you know you start coming across problems, challenges, setbacks, and you're kind of putting yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, but maybe a bit too much, that it then starts becoming a little bit negative, where maybe you don't enjoy what you're doing. So, no, I agree. I think trusting the process is good. I think you still need to take risks and be ambitious, but naturally, it's doing it at the right time rather than trying to chase a goal that shortcutting, for example. I don't think you should
Mhm.
shortcut. I think you need to trust the process, and things will fall into place naturally and organically.
Mhm. No, I think I learned also this story that in when there is a waves coming in, you cannot just every time try to go above the wave if you don't have the surfing board with you.
Yeah.
So you have to underneath, and then you have to be safe and then go underneath, or put yourself behind a little bit and then you progress. So this is the moments everyone face in the life, but at the moment, that time when you're facing that, just remember that this is, you're
100%.
not the alone person. You are part of this whole universe, and everyone is like that. So
Yeah. No, that's
yes.
really good. No, I like it. And is there anything you want to highlight to the listeners out there, Nita, that you're passionate about, or maybe anything that's coming up in the sector?
Yeah, apart from your professional life and professional career, batteries and all, I mean, that is pretty obvious that I'm passionate about. But there is a one thing that I really want to give here, and also to audience, that I'm also passionate about the pure nature, something which is raw origin, not made sophisticated by human. So and why it is so, because I feel that nature gives the lots of meaningful lessons, like animated movies as well. Like simple thing, uh, hardworking, be aware of the impermanence. Nothing is permanent. Keep adopting the changes. Um, then you have like a remain curious, and then um, keep yourself aware of your commitments. So these are very simple messages when you just walk into the wood and you realize, in fall you see the fall, but in spring you again see the flowers on blossoming. So these are the simple informations that you can get, and you learn, and you get your motivations.
I like that. And I suppose just following on from that, do you believe in natural talent, or are you more in the factor of the hard work aspect?
Both are important,
Yeah.
but there is only third aspect also. Sometimes luck also favors.
Yeah.
Like, as I say that I'm a lucky person, I mean, often I think if I born in the area where the war is there, probably my life would not be the same.
Yeah.
Often, I think this part of the world, who has the access to the luxury since beginning, they think life very differently. But if you go into the part where the countries are poor, or you born into the poor community, life is not the same. It's
Yeah.
very different. So I think, for me, hardworking, uh, your some level of intelligence, and soft skill plus your luck, everything
Yeah.
works together.
So it's like a complete ecosystem. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, I like it. Yeah, I completely agree with you, by the way. I think if I was to break them down into a pie chart, I'd probably put like the hardworking and discipline in probably the biggest part of the pie, because I think that, natural talent, of course, you can be born with, naturally you're quite intelligent, or you have good physical abilities depending on what you're doing, etc. And luck, that that just happens. Nobody can kind of predict that really. But I
Yeah,
think one of the biggest factors is if you can blend all that hard work and discipline into them two other areas, that's when it becomes success.
correct. Correct.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And I suppose moving back into industry at the moment, obviously there's quite a
Mhm.
lot going on at the moment, but the next generation that's coming through from, PhDs, or maybe they're just finishing high school, etc. What type of technical areas would you recommend them
Mhm.
specializing in
Mhm.
regards to kind of battery technology or skill sets or clean technology as a general ecosystem?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a good question, and then it's very hard to predict anything after 10 years or beyond.
Yeah,
But what I feel, see, there is a two thing which is likely be unchanged in next 100 years. One is that mobility aspect of human being. Human will not be getting the stuck to a one place, and surrounded by mountains or something. Definitely he will try to mobilize. faster and faster pace.
Yeah,
And while the mobility is needed, you need a power. So I think these are the two aspects is very important. So I think technology, which is providing the mobility in many ways, maybe traceability with the mobility, more safer environment, that technique will definitely will survive next 100 years. Plus also power. So I don't know if you have heard about all the AI genius. They are saying that power is gonna be limited. So AI technique, computational power is important, but the energy required for that to generate that computational power is more important. And when we talk about the energy, battery is one of the source for. And one battery provide both the things, mobility plus power.
yeah,
So I mean, we, the all the big energy storage aspect, turbine or solar panel, they cannot provide the mobility, but battery provide the mobility with power. So I
makes
think
sense.
that's why
Yeah,
I feel that it will stay. And good thing about the battery is whether you are electrochemist or you are simulation expert or you are a mechanical engineer or you are a software engineer, you are a hardware engineer, electronics, you are cloud-based service provider, or you are business person, or you are financial person, everything is required, even mining, even ecosystem recycling aspects and all. So battery is the things which is a puzzle, but there is lots of surrounding peripheral things which is supporting to make the product viable for the business and for the human aspect coverage. So I think that's why I think the battery can stay, because that's a need. And all these environment is needed. So no matter which area you are working, if you're working in a very good objective way, I think you can have career there.
that's good. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. By the way, I don't think it's fair to say that one skill set will be more than important than the other one at the end of the day. I think, they all play a very important factor to kind of the overall development of batteries or clean technology in general. So I think it's really interesting to actually emphasize them points. And is there any specific trends or innovations that's coming up in the industry that you're excited about at the moment?
Yeah, I think trains are like more and more safer battery products. That is one of the things which is challenging. More and more compact products, so lightweight. That is also important. I mean, solid state world is like booming anyway, and we have seen the now quite a reasonable progress for solid state batteries, which is compact, safe, and this. Apart from that, also there is a huge trend for getting the product development uh, around the battery. Before that it was retrofit, like we are trying to change the engine and putting the battery. We are trying to replace the generator and putting the battery. So this was like we are trying to fit the battery into the already available space. But it is now opposite the trend, where the system will be designed, either it's a vehicle or energy storage systems, around the battery. So that's the battery
Nice.
is more a kind of importance in that. So I think this is the two trends that I'm basically looking, and it's quite promising trends.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, there's a lot of innovation going on, and batteries are only getting smarter and smarter as time goes on. Even
Yeah,
as days go on, really, which is really cool. So yeah, what you just talked about, then I should imagine in a couple of weeks' time there'll be something else that
yeah,
we could
yeah.
talk about as well, which is really good. I suppose.
I think
Sorry, go
there's
on.
one more point I would
Yep.
like to add. Um, these are the things that is new trend, but what is I still feel is not enough explored area is smart sensors.
Okay.
So the sensor technology is pretty much is adopted from the what is existed, and that how it can be put it into the battery products. I think now it's a chance that if the innovation funding agencies will take a little bit more leap into the sensor side, it would be good idea to convert more non-invasive sensors and bring the better product robustness um, for in the battery environment.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. That's quite cool. Obviously, you're very deep into the sector, so obviously you know a lot around the innovations that's going on at the moment, and I think it's really good for the listeners out there to understand, around what new trends or technologies are coming up within this space, especially as there may even be somebody who's just not aware of what's going on at the moment, but they have a transferable skill set that they might want to get involved with. So I think it's really good to emphasize that. And I suppose just before we finish up, I suppose from your perspective, Nita, why should somebody choose a career within this field? Why battery clean technology from your perspective?
Hmm. Yeah. There is a two aspect of it. One is the bigger aspect, that do we really believe that environment is changing, and it is because of the CO2 footprints that we have to control. uh, some people have the positive feeling about it. Some people are still think that that's not the case. But for me, yes, environment is changing. There is obvious indications throughout the world. We have to do something at this stage for CO2 footprints reduction. And of course, battery is not the only way, but battery is the way, one of the way. And if we are not even doing that, then we are putting ourselves back. So battery is not only for the vehicle level, but at the many areas, battery is important. So I think uh, to support a bigger cause also, battery is important. Second thing, I think technical aspects. I say that there is a two important thing which can stay, and the mobility and the power. These are needed, and to support that, battery research, growth in the battery environment is important, or such some technology which is similar like batteries. But if you are not putting the research efforts or good brains into this environment, then the progress will not come. So next technology or breakthrough technology will not come unless we will keep working. It might be today is electrochemistry, another day is the quantum battery or something like that. There is a possibilities, or bio batteries, like you can save the informations or energy into the cells, human cells. There's these the kind of things can happen. But I think that's why this is the area is important.
Yeah, no, I think you emphasize some really, really important aspects there. Like you said, if you want to contribute to, creating a greener world and decarbonize and sustainability, then, the work that you're doing is naturally making an impact. So there's a huge opportunity to align with your passions there, which I think is quite cool. And like you mentioned, batteries are constantly changing all the time, so it's very, very challenging. Like the reason you're still working in the sector is for that exact reason. Even within your senior role that you're in now, every day's still a learning day for you. Something else will come up. So I think for people coming into the sector, there's a lot that they'll be exposed to. And I think from my perspective as well, something that I quite like is I like how transferable the skill sets are. So, let's say, for example, you're a battery modeling engineer, you could quite simplistically jump between multiple industries, automotive, aerospace, marine, energy stationary storage. Yes, there may be a few different safety critical standards within different sectors, but you can pick that up relatively quickly. I think there's some other industries or skill sets, let's say, where you can become quite tunnel visioned into what you're good at. But I think the battery space, there's so much, everything's becoming electrified, and your skill set's so diverse. I think it's really interesting as well. You're not always just pigeonholed to one area.
Yeah, that's true. And new application will emerge.
Yeah.
So today, I mean, when I was working on the batteries, pretty much a battery was used for automotives industry only for cranking, not for the propulsion. But now, if you say electric car, it's quite natural, quite normal to see on the streets, right? So And now, so sooner or later, it will happen for the construction vehicles and agriculture vehicles, but sooner or later, it will happen all the boats and maybe air traffic as well. Um, so it's quite natural that these kind of things will be coming, and
Yep.
it has a need.
100%. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it at the moment, aren't we? You know, the heavy duty vehicle market is becoming electrified. Like you said, the agriculture is definitely going down that route as
Yeah.
well. And we're really seeing things like electric planes, helicopters, jets, boats coming into fruition. So, yeah, there's a lot of interesting innovation going on. I suppose before we finish up, is there anything that you'd like to highlight at all?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that yes, I represent battery area, and that's why I'm
Yeah.
here. Yeah, but for my audience and for everyone, um, every technology is important. And now going forward into the technology area, technologies are connecting to each other. No technologies are like, you take the robotics, you take the AI, you take the battery, mobility, automotives, everything is coming in the same merging areas. There is lots of merging uh, going on. So I think the best way of thinking about the career is do what you like, but get the expertise, get the two aspect. One, go into the deep in one direction, which you get the extraordinary capabilities. So you are really having a core, and then broaden your vision. So get the all the peripheral covered. That what is the supporting technology which support to your core expertise, and get the knowledge. If you cover like this, you are already in one of the career path, whether that is the stable or not stable, but it is a progressive.
Yeah,
So I
nice.
think that's when.
Yeah, no, really good. Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. And like you said, I think it's really important to emphasize that, every technology is just as important. Like you said, even though you're representing battery and clean technology, there's, everything is a complete ecosystem that has to work together. But, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate what you've invested. And obviously, it was great to have you on board. And thanks for sharing your personal journey to date.
No, I think we covered a lot. Thanks, Tom. I think pleasure is mine to address the audience, and thank you for this invitation. It took me a longer time to accept, but it was it was fun talking to you.
It's okay. It was definitely worth the wait. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
Take care. Cheers.
and
Thank
have
you.
a nice rest of the day, everyone. Bye. Take
Will
care.
do. Bye bye.